welcome to Diving into Deep Waters. I'm your host, Erin Rowling, but I have a special guest today, Miss Allicia Wesson. I almost said your other last name.
I still almost signed up for it like all the time.
Like,
it's bad.
Who am I? I don't know who I am. This is going to be a fun episode, and Allicia is actually my first on-camera guest. You made it over Paul. Wow.
I hope he doesn't come for me.
He might, but he'll be on at some point. So I actually asked Allicia a while ago to be on the podcast. And actually when I asked her, I was like, hey, just so you know, you're probably going to be on camera. And then she was like, oh, okay.
Oh.
She was like, that was on my bucket list to be on your podcast until you said that part.
Yeah, it really was. I'm so excited. You're like, you're going to be on YouTube. I was like,
okay.
Great. Love that.
We were even talking about which side we were going to be on. She was like, I hope I'm going to be on this side because I imagined I was going to be on that side.
I've been mentally practicing being on camera and it was always to my right.
Yeah.
So I was like.
Then she was like, I put more makeup on that side. I was like, did you really? She's like, no, but it's my better side. I don't know which, everyone takes pictures and they're like, this is my better side. And I'm always like, I don't know.
What a good problem to have.
What?
You're like, I don't have a better side.
I'm sure there's a
They're
better side.
Better.
Hair-wise, this is my better hair. This side cooperates way more than this side, which my hair is really dirty. Gonna lie.
This is an honest podcast.
As you know, it is.
We're diving deep.
But you can't tell on camera, which is good because I didn't even curl the back. I just curled 2 curls on the
Not
front.
only do
I was like,
wear pajama pants.
yes.
But also.
She wore her comfy pants, you guys. She wore them.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so impressed. I'm so happy. And I wore jeans.
I know.
And they're kind of hurting me. But it's fine. It's those high-waist jeans that kind of stick in your...
the sitting jeans?
They're
That's
not.
Different.
They're not comfortable. I'm not going to lie. That's what you need to do when you buy jeans is you have to sit.
You have sitting pants and you have standing pants.
Yeah. These are
not different.
These are not sitting pants. I might unbutton them at some point. You can't tell.
What are you good? Yeah.
What are you gonna know?
What
you won't know.
What are you gonna do about it?
Well, yeah. Alicia said, what are you gonna do about it? Nothing. So anyways, we have Allicia. We have known Allicia since she was a teenager. Mm-hmm. She was just a young thing. Bebopping into our church. Yeah. She loves to dance. That's why I say that.
Bebop.
Bebop. And if you want to see a spectacular video, she did this video with my husband. He did this teachable moment kind of video.
Yeah, it was all about being teachable. That was the sermon.
The sermon, yeah. And so he did this whole thing with Allicia where he taught her how to dance. And it's classic.
There's a stuffed turtle involved and a bear. It's an experience.
It's an experience. You can find it on YouTube, right?
Apparently that video is never gonna die.
It's never gonna.
That was literally over 10 years ago, and it's still.
It lives on. It lives on. If you want to see Paul attempt to dance, go find it.
It's awesome.
It's Allicia actually looks like she knows what she's doing, but Paul, not so much.
Looks like he's having fun.
Yeah, he is having a blast. So he's actually very proud of that video. He also raps in it. There's also some rapping in it.
Right.
Yeah, he did a lot of. I don't remember what else he did.
A triple threat.
Didn't he do parkour
yes.
too? Yeah,
yes,
there's parkour in there. So
it's intense.
Go find it, you guys.
You want a thrill?
You want something to laugh at? Sorry, honey. He watches this.
He watches this. I gotta be careful.
He watches this. So she came in to our church with her mom. Been a part of it ever since. Quickly became one of our favorites. Don't tell the other we have other teenage favorites too, but she became we just fell in love with her. And so we've had the privilege and honor of doing life with her. And so watching her go from a teenager, going off to college, valedictorian of her class, smarty, do super well at college. And then go into the whole dating thing and all of that fun stuff. So fun. And meeting her husband and Austin. And hey, Austin, because you're probably the only podcast he's going to watch.
Probably.
Because you're on it.
Yeah.
Aw.
Oh.
It'll be special. And I won't take offense to that at all, Austin. Not at all. But we met him, fell in love with him, and had the honor of doing premarital counseling. I remember where we were at when you called us to tell us that you were engaged.
Yes.
We were at a gas station.
And you were in separate cars because we had to call
We
you
were.
individually.
You did. You called me, and then I was like, I run up to Paul. He's at the pump, and I'm like, Alicia's gonna call you.
Yeah.
So, and then when they told us, they said, "Will you marry us?" And we always find that such a privilege and honor to marry young people, old people too, whoever. Don't want to leave
We don't
anybody out.
discriminate.
So, and then just to get to do the whole process of premarital counseling, we met at the oven several times.
Caro, shout
Yeah.
out. Not sponsored, but send a coupon our
But
way.
just sponsor
I'm
us.
coming.
They're like, what? Who are
They have
these
sweet
people?
potato fries, man. We're going.
They're so good.
They're so good.
They're so good. And a good gluten-free pizza. Oven pizza. Like the pizza, like it's
Like-
not like the cardboard gluten-free. It's
legit.
like legit. They stick it in that oven,
Mhm.
pizza oven. Yeah, it's good. I'm hungry. I
Yeah.
talk about food a lot on here, actually.
Do you always record around lunchtime? Because
I think
it is
it is kind of lunchtime.
lunchtime.
So yeah, we're hungry. It's fine. But and so one of the things that we talked about in premarital counseling obviously was like, are they on board with children? It's one of the questions we ask. And I think I've known Allicia long enough where I was like, I don't know where she is actually with that. I think it's maybe leaning more towards no. A little bit more towards no. And obviously we wanted to make sure that they were equally yoked in that decision. And they were. Austin was like, hey, yes. I loved how he was like, she's the one having the baby.
Doing it.
And I felt like he was really supportive of like, it was kind of in your court and whatever way that went.
Yeah.
He was up for whatever.
Mhm.
And we married them and then got a call about a year later from them like, hey, can we meet with you? Which your mind goes all these places.
Right.
Like,
What's wrong?
are they okay? Like, is everything all right? And they came over. I just got my espresso machine. Remember
That's
that?
right. We had all
Yeah,
these fancy
we
drinks. It was a
did.
good
I didn't know
time.
how to use it, but
No.
they drank it.
It didn't suck.
Oh, good.
So
You would have remembered. And started to share their heart with us and I guess I'll let you just share a little bit like
yeah, to give the Cliff Notes version because we have a lot to cover, but we both were in the court of like we don't really want kids
Mhm.
unless God changes our hearts. And I was watching a movie, to make a long story short, where the main character had a baby and she took it to a church to be dedicated.
mm,
And watching that scene, I suddenly was like, I think I want a baby. And I was like,
wait a second.
I've watched this movie lots of times. I've never had that thought. And it just didn't leave me for like a few days. I kept thinking about it. So driving home a few days later from work, I was like, all right, God, if you want me to, if this is from you, I pray that this conversation would come up tonight and Austin would be on the same page. Because I'm like, there's no way. We hadn't talked about it.
Mm.
And so sure enough, that night it came up and he was like, I kind of want kids. Do you want kids? And I was like, you playing. So then we knew, we're like, okay, clearly like God's changing our hearts on this. And that's when we wanted to talk to you and kind of bring you in on the conversation. Mhm.
Paul told him what to do, how to get
Yeah.
a baby. No, just
He
kidding.
was-
He probably did actually, knowing him. He's probably like, this is how you do it. Step one. I don't remember, but I feel like that's something that Paul would do.
I feel like if we had asked, he genuinely would have.
Yeah,
But we were good.
They
We're
were-
like, no,
they
we
were
get
good.
the idea.
they knew.
We got that to part
They knew.
down.
And it wasn't long
No.
until.
And that was honestly another confirmation. That it was like, boom, boom. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, you really want us to have this baby. Okay.
And here we
Got it.
go.
Here we are.
So to go from not sure to like, okay, well, we're gonna do this, and then it was like, okay, game on. Let's go.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why I asked Allicia to be not because she's awesome, but also because I feel like motherhood has presented some challenges to her. And in light of Mother's Day, I feel like we talk a lot about maybe the physical side of motherhood, which we could definitely talk about
Yeah.
that, and all the changes that come with that, and all of our experiences and stuff like that. But something that like wasn't there when I was becoming a mom with my first baby and stuff like that, and all that I went through was the mental side of motherhood. And I feel like Allicia has gone through a lot of the mental side, and is willing to share with us some of her experiences, so that whether you're a new mom and you're like, hey, this is way different than what I thought it was going to be,
Mhm.
or you have maybe your daughter is going through her first baby, or your sister, or a loved one, or a friend, and just making us much more aware of what motherhood can encompass mentally,
Mhm.
because it really does have some mental sides to it. You feel mental some,
Preach.
at some points, and I think it's a discussion. We say diving into deep waters, and it's exposing maybe some feelings or thoughts that we think to ourselves, this should never be uttered, we shouldn't say this, people might look at us differently. And when Allicia and I were talking this over, I said, are you willing essentially to kind of go into these things, because I think we need to talk about them. And if we equip ourselves, the more we equip ourselves with these conversations, the more I think we can give people the space to say, hey, I'm struggling.
Right.
Or maybe notice if they're struggling. Because I mean, and listen, I've had friends that have gone through things and then they'll tell me later, and I'm like, what? I never knew that. You know,
Mhm.
I think though, the more we talk about these things, the more we can equip ourselves. And so that is really what I want to go after in this podcast and just talk about, because I think right off the bat for Allicia, getting, get pregnant, you have all the excitement. She actually told everyone the same time, like your grandpa, right? Your pop, what do you call him? Your grandpa?
My papa?
Your papa. I knew there was a name. Because her cousin got pregnant at the same time.
Yeah. We
So
coordinated schedules.
yeah, you're
Just
like,
kidding.
what day are you doing?
What's your fertile window? Samesies.
And so they got to announce to their family, which was really sweet. So you have all this excitement of telling people we're pregnant,
Yeah.
and then it's like,
We're pregnant.
oh wow, what are we? And I asked her, I said, was there ever a time in your being pregnant where you were like, because she had been in this place where I literally did not think you were going to have kids.
I also thought that.
And then here she is pregnant. And so I said, going from being like for me, I always wanted to be a mom. So that was something I always wanted. But for someone who was like, I don't think I want this, but now here I am, I've decided that I do. Was there ever a moment where you're like, wait, and she shared an experience with me, and I just thought it was really good.
Yeah. I mean, my son's name is Asher. He's 15 months now, over a year. But he wasn't even born yet. And I was like, I don't know about this. But it's one of those things, like no backsies.
You can't go back.
No backsies. But so my son was born in January. So the Christmas prior, we were at my parents' house and we were celebrating Christmas. So as my brothers were there and my nephew, he was about almost 2 at the time. And he's almost 2. So he had a rough day and he was a little emotionally unstable, which I'm like, I get it. But I was also emotionally unstable and pregnant. So at the end of the day, everyone's leaving, we're leaving, and I just have this moment of like, it's never going to be the same again. Next time I come to this house, I'm going to have a baby. It's all going to be different. I don't know if I'm ready. What in the world have I done? And I just sobbed. And again, no backsies.
No.
Like it wasn't like anything changed, but I definitely, even before he was born, and then obviously moments after too, where I'm like, I don't know if I'm the girl for the job. This ain't it. I'm not sure.
And I think that's really real. I think that when you see other people, I even look back at, sometimes you forget things that you go through in motherhood, and then you see someone in a position and you see something happen, you're like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, that's a lot. And so I think even just talking about that, like even before she had him, she was like, oh, okay, all right, and had a little breakdown. But that kind of did go into having, which I did want her to share what Asher's name meant, because we've talked a lot about different Bible characters and their names come into play. And it's funny because we named our daughter Amanda Grace, and it required a lot of grace at different parts of raising her. And but then I remember there was a moment where she was telling me something she was going through, and I saw grace oozing from her,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, and I see that in her, who she is as a woman today.
Yeah.
She has grace for people. She loves people so well. She is intuitive to people. It's what she does for her job.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw that name kind of come full circle, because
Yeah.
I would tell people, don't name your kid Grace, because it's going to require, I love you, honey, require grace. And so it was interesting, because when I asked Allicia what Asher's name meant, you said it
means blessed or happy.
And Asher was not the happiest baby.
Well, it's ironic. He's happy around other people. One day he's going to grow up and maybe listen to this and be like, Mom, you're mean. I'm telling it like it is.
Yeah.
No, he genuinely was happy around other people. But at home, in the comfort of our own home, which I'm like, I know, Mom's the safe place and all that, was not happy a lot of times.
Yeah.
We dealt with a lot of colic and just fussy and exhausted mom and all that. So,
and if you've ever had a baby that's colicky, you like, you
it.
hear the word colic and you like, your skin crawls
Yeah,
a little
it's
bit.
like,
You're just like, ooh, you get a little shiver. Like, oh, okay. Because my oldest was colicky. That wasn't a term when I had Amanda. I just knew she cried all the time and it didn't stop. And so when someone said, was she colicky? And I was like, what's colic? And then they explained it, and I was like, yes. Why did nobody tell me this? Because maybe if I knew it was a normal thing, that it can happen with some babies. I don't know. She lived. I lived. We all lived.
She's still here today.
She's still here. We're all good.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we were talking about, like, I think in motherhood, like when you get pregnant and you have your baby shower and you have, all of this hype and this huge buildup, and then expectations, right?
Yes.
We have these expectations that we place on motherhood. And when the expectations aren't met, which I'm sure in most situations, if we're being honest, the expectations don't get met in what we talk a lot about. I've talked a lot about that before. Like, we put expectations on our marriage, on our friendships, on our church, on so many things, on ourselves. And it's like, a lot of times we can't meet those.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and as soon as it's not met in how we envisioned it, all of a sudden it's like this crash and burn. And I think too, something Allicia and I talked about was when you're pregnant with other people, or you're watching their experience, and your experience is different than what they're going through, it kind of can leave you in this place of like, what's wrong with me?
Right. Either what they're experiencing or what you perceive them experiencing.
True.
Because social media, love and hate it.
We love it.
Love and hate
it.
It depends on the day. But yeah, it's a lot of like, well, it looks like they're having a great time. Why am I not having a great time? It looks like their baby slept through the night they were home from the hospital. Why is my baby not sleeping through the night for a year? That's not real.
No.
Fake news. But yeah, we get in our head of like this perfect expectations. And I know for me, like heading into Asher's birth, I'm one of those people, like I said, valedictorian. I'm really good at like checking boxes and doing my homework. And I was like, all right, I got these 10 boxes of this is what I'm going to do. So I have an easy birth. Walked every day, stretched, did all the things, ate the right foods. And none of that worked. One of my mentors, her name is Holly. God bless her. I love her so much. But she told me, she's like, I walked every day with my pregnancies and her labor was an hour. I was like, sign me up. So
I don't like you, Holly. I'm sorry.
I'm not going to tell her to listen to this.
I do.
No,
I do.
I love her. I was like, okay, I'm going to walk every day. Sign me up. I sure did.
Yeah.
And it did not work. And halfway through my very long, awful labor, I told Austin, I was like, Holly lied to me. Because again, I got this expectation
Yes,
in my head
yeah.
of like, I did
It's
these
gonna
things, so it should equal this. And motherhood is all about that not actually happening
mm-hmm.
most of the time. And so learning to differentiate like where I have control versus where I
Yeah.
have
Mm-hmm.
influence. And most of it's not actually in my control at all.
No. And I think so we kind of had talked about expectations and then we kind of talked about disappointments. And I asked Allicia what she felt like her, and this is raw and real, what her disappointments were with becoming a mom.
Mm-hmm. So, to give context, I was diagnosed with postpartum depression, which looking back, it's like blatantly obvious to me. Like, just remembering what I
Now,
felt and what
yeah,
I dealt
yeah.
with and how just defeated and overwhelmed I felt like all the time.
Mm.
But in the moment, like, I had nothing to compare it to. I never had a baby.
Mm.
I was the youngest of 3, so it's not like I like watched my mom have a younger sibling.
Right.
And so I was like, man, everyone feels like this, but they're dealing with it so much better. Like having my cousins have babies right around the same time, and like, man, they're just loving their babies. They're dressing them up cute. I'm like, I can barely function to change his diaper, let alone put cute outfits together, which is a lot easier for a girl. But I digress. Boys, you get pants and a shirt. But yeah, so I had a really hard time bonding with my baby. I was happy he existed. I was like, clearly, like, I don't regret that at all. Like, I'm glad he's here. But being the role of mom, I hated it. And I was like, what is wrong with me that I hate it? And after I got diagnosed with it and I went to therapy and all that stuff, I've done, I've gotten tools, I've gotten different coping mechanisms, and I'm so much better now. But I wish going back, I had known, I realized that what I was dealing with was not normal, was not the average experience.
Yeah.
Because that's like the hardest part of being a mom is like you can read all the books and watch the videos and talk to everybody, but until you're feeling it, you don't know what it felt like. So that was like the hardest part, is just not having any standard to compare it to. So I just thought all my struggles were just normal and everyone was dealing with it, and they were just dealing with it better than I was.
And yeah, because that's something she kind of touched on. Well, she said when she went for her 6-week checkup, which I think they do such a better job now of like checking in on your mental health. I think that's so much more of a thing nowadays, which is great. But you were like, oh, I think I'm fine. And then you start Googling. You gotta love Google.
I love Google. It's so helpful.
That's all the answers. You're dying. But, it's fine. You'll live.
Yeah.
Dead. I don't know. Kind of, maybe. Little bit, sort of. Eventually you'll die. But anyways, you were like, oh, wait a second. I have a numerous amount. Like, you could check all those boxes and you were like, okay, this is something that I definitely am struggling with. And we talked about, so her mother-in-law had talked to her and was like, it's so funny how like what one person can say, we can interpret not their intention of what they're trying to do. And here her mother-in-law had grown up or having her babies, didn't have all this help. And so to Allicia, she was like, listen, we are here for you. We are like, and that was her intention. Like, I'm here for you. You have help. And Allicia, in the place she was at mentally, was like, oh, wait a sec, I should be able to do this because she did it. She did. She raised her babies without help, and I should be capable to do that.
Yeah,
and
like
yet,
if she made it through with no help, who am I to struggle with help?
With help, yeah.
Like it just made me like, man, I thought I sucked. I was like, man, I suck. And again, like she meant it as like this really encouraging thing. Like, Donna, I know you're watching. I love you. And
I love you, Donna.
Because she meant it as this wonderful.
I love you too, Holly. We never met you, but I love you.
But yeah, it's funny. Like when you're in that darker place, like how we can just convolute these things.
Absolutely.
To turn anything into a thing to like feel bad about when that's not the intention at all.
And I think too, an important piece is if you are struggling, and if you Google it, and you're like, am I having some mental problems here? And you Google it, and you're like, I'm dying, but I might have some mental issue. issues right now, get help.
Yes.
Because, and I love that, Allicia. I mean, I think so many people, we can feel like, what's wrong with me that I need help? And I don't know. I think we can label ourselves like just different things that are saying to ourselves like, oh, well, nobody else needs help. My cousins aren't needing help, but here I am needing help. And it's like, who cares? Because at the end of the day, it's about you. It's about getting to a place where you are taken care of. And so I love that Allicia, and I'll have her share with us about how that kind of went for her getting to a place. And first of all, I do want to say this because we love Jesus here. And I think that is one of the most important things. We deal with a lot of people in our church life when it comes to counselors. Get a Christian counselor, because we do want everything rooted in the word, whether it's your marriage or your relationships or yourself personally. That's Jesus. I mean, it's not like when we wave a magic wand and say Jesus and everything is fixed, but we do know that we can go to him and he is going to give us what we need. And Jesus with your counselor, good mix.
Yes. Jesus plus therapy.
Yes.
Love
Yay.
it.
So if our therapist is watching, good job.
Shout out to you.
You know who you are. You know who you are. Someone's watching and going, I'm the therapist. Never seen you a day in your life.
It's me. I'll take that. I received that. That's
to all the therapists. Actually, I will say this. I was just talking to a friend whose daughter started therapy, and she was just telling me like the right therapist, because sometimes you got to go through a few to get to the right one. Just don't just throw it out the window just because you didn't get the right one the first time, because sometimes you got to go through a few. But her daughter went through a few and then found this person, and she just said it's like making all the difference. So we definitely recommend that. But I asked Allicia, like, what did your therapist, like, what were the tools, and she kind of shared with me like how her therapist kind of walked her through, able to, because you need tools.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that was our biggest thing, was instead of like my emotions going in these big waves of like, I'm doing good, I'm really not doing good. Her goal and our goal in therapy was, when I start to go down, have tools, have these resources to stop before going all the way down. And so one of the homework assignments she gave me early on was I had a journal, and every time I started to go down, just write down like when it was and what happened just prior to that.
Yeah.
And to see if we could find like a pattern. And we kind of did. We found that I get overstimulated with noise. So whether it be like crowds of people or just noisy environments or a screaming baby. Because that's what I told her. I'm like, if I could just take care of him and not listen to him, like not have to hear him like screaming at me, it'd be so much better. And she's like, go buy some noise canceling headphones. If there's a mom in your life and you need a gift idea, it's not going to be on a registry. Oh well, get her some noise canceling headphones, because that was a game changer for me. I still use them sometimes because Asher still cries, but sometimes like
when Austin's talking,
when Austin talks a lot. Just kidding. No, but he like, they both seem to get the idea. Like when headphones go on, it's no one talk to me.
There you go.
Someone needs to de-escalate a little bit. So that was like a big thing for me. Like it's simple. It's not super spiritual, of an issue, but that was something I was not aware of in myself, and it makes a big difference. Now that I am aware of it, I know what to do.
What's your trigger, in a sense? What is the thing that makes you? And I think that's a big part of it, is figuring out what is that thing that kind of sends you off into whatever, into the abyss, and how to stop before you get to that place. Because especially I think as moms, like you still have to function. You have to care for this being no matter where you are. And it's like, I recently read a post about a mom. She has 4 boys, and she was talking about being, right?
If that's you.
If that's you. I have 4, not 4 boys, but girls are a lot too. But anyways, there was a picture. One of her kids had snapped a picture of her and she was in bed. And she said, I couldn't move. I was not able. And her husband had to step in and her mom stepped in to kind of help her through that process. But I love the realness of it, of like, this happens. This is
Right.
motherhood sometimes. And
Mhm.
I can remember a few moments in being a mom where I thought my body physically didn't move.
Mhm.
And it was like literally like some like 600-pound person sat on me, or an elephant sat on me, and I would say to myself, get up,
Mhm.
and the body would not respond.
Wouldn't move. I had those days too, and I had to call Austin or
Yeah.
Donna or whoever to be like, you need to come physically get
Yes.
Asher because I can't stand
Yes.
up.
And that's okay.
Yes,
I
yes.
loved something Allicia said about her therapist, is that she validated what she was going through. And I think that that's part of our intention here, is to validate if you're going through those feelings, that ask for help. It's okay.
Mhm.
It does not mean you're not a good mom. And if you're the person that someone's asking, a mom is saying, listen, I'm struggling, go.
Yeah.
Step in, help them out the best that you can, because you need that.
Mhm.
And it's important.
And the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun.
Mm.
So, because I fell into that, like, this is just me. Like, I'm the
Mm.
only one. It's not just you.
Not just
If
you.
you're having a hard time in whatever capacity, there is 100% chance someone else is dealing with it, has
Mhm.
dealt with it. Like, it's not just
Mhm.
it's not just you.
Yeah. And
Which I
by
think
you
is-
stepping forward,
Mhm.
maybe, I mean, that's why I share all my little experiences with you. Just say, hey, this is normal. This is life.
Mhm.
This is how it goes sometimes. I remember Alicia was at her cousin's baby shower, and Asher was crying a lot.
It was
he
rough.
was
It
he
was a rough
was
day.
yeah. She was like, that was a low.
It was a low.
It was a low day. A day she'll never forget as a mother, because we all have them. And him not stopping crying, and your mom stepped in and took him from you, and you went to the bathroom, and then you were like, we need to go. Which, good for you, realizing like, this is enough. I've had enough. I need to leave. But just seeing Alicia crying and stuff, it brought back every emotion that I mean, it'd been 24, 25 years since that I was in that position with my daughter, but every emotion just flooded my being. And I was just like, I could feel what she was going through because I'd been there.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to scoop her up and be like, it's gonna be okay. And we
you
did.
kind of did.
And we did.
You
There
kind-
was a few moms who I remember our friend Tammy also, she had a colicky child, and so we looked at each other, and as they were headed out, we're like, okay, and I took Asher's carrier, and as Tammy spoke life into you, I was like, I've got it, because at this point, it doesn't bother me. The crying doesn't bother me, because it's not my baby. And then you feel too this pressure of like, my baby's crying and I can't make it stop, and then it's annoying everybody. And here's one of the things: as a older mom, I'm okay with your crying baby. Like, I'll take your baby for you, because I don't have that pressure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as a mom, you feel like you're disturbing everyone's life.
Yes. Correct.
And you're not. Just so you know, you're not. There will be moms that swoop in, and we've been there, and would just take up that baby and give you a little break or whatever if we can. Um, so I watched her go through that, and I don't know, she was really heavy on my heart as I saw that whole experience go down. And then there was like this shift in Alicia that I watched from afar. We live about an hour away, so it's not like I get to see her all the time. Austin moved her away. It's fine. I'm not bitter about it at all. But maybe a little bit. Love you, Austin. Just bitter. But I saw the shift begin to happen in her, and it was kind of crazy, because I had seen that she had written something. She has a blog, and I saw that she had written something. Well, at first I didn't know she had written it, but I saw her cousin sharing it and saying, oh my goodness, this is just like life to me. And so I was like, I gotta read what's going on here? And I read it. And first of all, Alicia, you're gifted with writing. I don't think everyone is gifted with that. And I told her, I was like, I don't tell everybody good job unless I really think you did a good job. And I was just so impressed because I could feel this, and it almost became like what I was interpreting from watching you was like it became an avenue for you to begin to write your feelings or what you were processing as a mom. And so I asked Alicia, I said, how did you get to this place where you started writing all this stuff? And
yeah, and there was never like a huge light bulb moment, but it was just these little interactions. So when I was pregnant, getting close to my due date, people would ask me like, "So how are you feeling?" And I'd be like, "Pregnant." Like, how would you feel? Like,
I feel big.
I feel not great. And I noticed some other moms kind of come up to me and be like, "I just love that you say that." And I'm like, "Why is that a big deal?" And it was just, I noticed this kind of social stigma of when people ask you how you're doing, you always say good. I always say fine. And I'm like, yeah, blessed and highly
Blessed
favored.
and big. Blessed and pregnant.
And I just noticed, I'm like, huh, like no one's giving a voice to this, even though we're all feeling it. And then newborn phase, all this stuff. Again, I just would kind of, I guess, be a little bit more blunt about how things were going. And again, I kept noticing, like whether I was texting people or talking to them, being like, wow, yes, me too, or yes, absolutely. And it was resonating with people. And I guess I just kind of picked up on, I had an opportunity to give voice to these parts of motherhood no one else was giving a voice to. And that's kind of how it came to be, because I had a blog for a few years before becoming a mom, and it was just kind of similar to how Erin does her podcast of like something in life happens, it kind of inspires something, and it turns into a blog. Since becoming a mom, my focus has narrowed to motherhood and these experiences because, like I said before, there's nothing new under the sun. And so I've just kind of taken it and ran with it of, if I'm dealing with this, chances are other moms are too. And I just want to validate them to be like, it's not just you. I feel it too. You're not crazy. Here's some encouragement to go with it. And so that's kind of how it all has come to be. Like, I deal with something, I'm like, man, that sucked. Someone else also probably thinks that sucks. So let me tell you what happened. So when you feel that, you'd be like, me too.
Yeah. And so I just want to put a little plug out there. So that means you got to write more stuff. Get on that.
If anyone wants to come babysit for me so I can sit and write, that'd be great.
The challenge. Right. She's got Auntie Carmen babysitting right now, so she can come, because we were like, I don't think having Asher here and recording. I mean, he's cute.
He's adorable.
He would steal a show.
But he's all boy and he's all go.
Yes.
He literally does not stop moving.
So go find her blog and read it. She does and it'll be a great resource too to share with other moms, because I watched all these new moms being like, someone is saying what I am feeling, and I think you went out to accomplish that, and I think you did an excellent job with that. So I asked Alicia, I said, I'd like to just do a little part where it says things learned in the journey, and something she shared about when she was going to counseling, that she found that her therapist said to her about we can easily like look at other people and think, oh, they have it worse than me. But if you would just share a little bit about that.
Yeah, she kind of called me on it in a loving way.
That's what therapists do,
That's
right?
what they do. That's what we pay them for. But when we would get talking at each of our sessions, and as soon as I would start to share like why I'm struggling that particular week or whatever, I'd be quick to be like, but this other person has it worse. Like I have a friend who's a single mom. I have a friend that was a young mom going through separation. And it's like, I would just immediately invalidate whatever I'm going through, because I'd be like, well, these people have it worse. So who am I to complain? Kind of the same thing back to what, with Donna too, is like, who am I to complain? I have this help. My situation isn't that bad. And just something she hammered into me, and I still work on it. It's like, don't invalidate your pain. There's always going to be someone else suffering more, suffering differently. It doesn't make your pain not valid. Like, yes, help them when you can, but don't help them at the expense of just completely neglecting yourself and your own issues.
Yeah.
Because you got to take care of yourself
Yes.
to take care of others well.
Kind of like when they say put the
Oxygen
on the
mask.
person next to you before you. No, put it on.
Wow.
Don't
No.
listen. Don't listen to that advice. Put it on yourself first. Then you put it on the.
Take care of you
Yeah.
to take care of others.
There you go.
Well.
I also asked her for just a practical piece of advice because, and she said it and I was like, this is good. Like, I need to remember this too. Because I'm probably prone to be the one who's like, I'll take the baby. Because I love babies. There's like a 6-day-old baby at our church right now. Like, oh my gosh.
Squishy
Like,
little
I don't know them very well, so I don't want to take
What
their
a way to
baby.
get to know them,
like, I
though.
was like, ooh, I will not touch. Hands off. But so I just asked her for a practical piece of advice, and I thought this was good.
It's if you have a new mom in your life, obviously you want to go see the baby. Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
Every person gets that.
Yes.
But when you're there, offer to help around the house, not just hold the baby. Like, obviously when people were visiting me, I have a lot of family. Love it. Love you all. Thank you for visiting me. I was very alone. But when you're there, maybe hold the baby for a little bit and then be like, okay, mom, you hold your baby. I'll do the dishes. Because I had several people well-meaning. Like,
yeah,
nothing
like
but love.
me.
Yeah.
Well-meaning like me.
No,
I did bring
because you held him and he was a crazy person.
He was crying.
That was helpful.
Okay.
That was very helpful.
All
right. You're in the clear. But give mom a chance to hold the baby and you go do dishes or do some housework while you're there, because like I was saying, several people well-meaning would be like, oh, I'll hold the baby, you go ahead and clean. And I was in the kitchen cleaning or cooking or doing stuff, and I'm like, I wish this was reversed. Like, I want to go hold the baby, you go do the boring stuff. And so again, there's a balance to it, because I do get, you want to hold the baby,
yes.
And sometimes,
but it's good to be like, all right, offer holding the baby, but maybe you could say, like, can I hold him, or is there something I can do for you? Like, can I wash your dishes for you? Or actually, just go in the kitchen and wash the dishes.
Don't ask, because the mom will be
They're
like,
gonna say
I
no.
got it.
You're right. They're gonna say no. Just show
go
up.
Do it. Just at least when you visit, go with the mentality of, what's one household chore I can help with while I'm there?
Bring dinner, but ask.
Bring food.
Ask.
But ask.
Ask. Because someone brought me barley soup. I don't think you're watching who brought me barley soup. I can't even eat barley soup. Nobody asked me, do I like barley soup?
Do your research.
Ask. Because
give a few options. Text.
Yeah, be like, do you want this or
Chipotle
this?
or Panera? Or if you live in
both.
Yes. Or if you live in Marlette, do you want Trevi's or Biagio?
Taco Bell.
Yeah,
we got
that's
a Taco Bell.
Now your list is a little shorter than in Saginaw, but yeah, bring food. That is never going to be turned down.
Yeah.
And just offer to help practically.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's good advice. So we're going to wrap this up with, because I asked her a question and she had some good stuff. I thought this was a good way to end this podcast. And I asked her, in what ways do you feel like God showed up? Because we were texting back and forth about talking about this. And I said, if you have a verse, because, the Bible is important and has life. And is there a verse that really spoke to you or that God used or whatever? And so she said she has a couple.
Overachiever.
Valedictorian. Showing up.
No, but there was, as soon as she asked that, there was one that came to mind, and I don't have the exact verse and chapter memorized, but it's in Genesis, when Hagar fled from Abram and Sarai, and she was alone. She was with her baby, and at that moment, God showed up with her, and that was when she gave God the name El Roi, the God who sees me. And just that particular verse of her giving him that name just stuck to my heart, because, like I mentioned earlier, Asher was such a happy baby around everybody else. And then we'd get home at the end of the day, and he would just let his emotions out and cry a lot. And it was a lot of hard moments. And to read that verse, I have it on a sticky note right next to my rocking chair in Asher's nursery, and I would read it so many times, be like, okay, you see me in the middle of the night when I'm
Mm-hmm.
nursing him. I feel like I'm the only one in the awake in the state of
Yeah.
Michigan,
Yeah.
or just on hard days where Austin's at work and Asher's just having a hard day. Like, okay, you see me in this moment. Like, it
Mhm.
just, this past year has brought my faith down to such a small level in a good way of like, I'm not just praying for God to, bless Asher and um just like these big things, like when he's really sick or whatever. It's like, it's narrowed my focus to like the Holy Spirit can help you and guide you in
Mhm.
every tiny little step throughout the day. Like, I remember one time Asher was having a hard day and I was like, Holy Spirit, what do I do next? What's the next right thing? That's all I
Mm.
can handle right now. And he was like, go for a walk. I just felt that in my spirit, and I had not been planning on a walk. It was winter, but we did it, and it helped.
It helps.
It helped. And I mean, I've prayed about all different bodily functions for Asher. Just leave it at that.
The things you pray for.
There is nothing off limits. So that was one big thing. I was just like,
Be more specific.
yeah, being
your prayers.
specific and knowing that God sees you when you feel like no one else
Mhm.
does. You feel like you're all alone, like you're never actually alone. So that was one. Another one is my favorite verse, Matthew 6:34, and it's, do not worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow has enough troubles of its own. Today's trouble is enough for today. And that can apply to a million situations, but that has been such a encouraging reminder to stay present for today. Like, what are Asher's needs today? Like, it grinds my gears when people come up to new moms and be like, oh, just wait, as like this like ominous thing, like just wait till they do such and such a thing. And it can get your mind spiraling to all these future problems. And it's like, like God just wants us to stay with today. What are your challenges for today? What are your joys of today? Like, don't miss them. Like, just stay present in today. And a third one that I actually didn't tell you.
Oh, we got
Bonus. That I was
like
just
a workout when it's like bonus.
right. Never feels like a bonus.
Never.
Thanks.
This is way better
Love
bonus.
those extra burpees. But it's the verse in Ecclesiastes about there's a season for everything. And we all have probably heard that, different portions of it, but it's talking about there's a season for everything. And something that's really just been on my heart over and over to share repeatedly is what is, like, just remembering what your season is right now. So like right now with a toddler, it is not my season to wear jewelry. Ironically, I am right now because he's not here. But it's not my season to have my hair done and have makeup and put cute outfits together. Like, those things are awesome. And if you're not a mom or your kids are older and you have that time, that's great. But don't put pressure on yourself to do things if it's not your season to do them. Just like my season is, chasing around a small human and watching Franklin and watching.
I love Franklin.
We just found it. Love that.
Hey, it's Franklin.
Yeah.
I love it. That brings back so many memories. I'm sorry.
Core memory.
Core memories. Core motherhood memories.
But like, that's my season to do that stuff. And maybe if you're not a mom yet listening to this and you're like, I want that to be my season. The time, if the Lord wills, that time is coming. Just focus on what's in front of you and don't put pressure on yourself to be good at all the things, because it's not your season to do all the It's never your season to do all the things.
All the things, yeah.
So stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane.
What's yours to do right now and what's not.
Absolutely. Love it. I love it. When she was talking about don't worry about tomorrow, I'm so impressed you learned that with your first kid, because it took me to my third kid. I guess I'm late. Well, it takes me a while to learn something, but literally it took me 3 kids to get to a place of like, be in the moment. And I was a better mother. Honestly, I think when I was willing, I just was like, this is where I'm at. This is a season that I'm in.
Yeah.
I remember when I stopped wearing lipstick, because it gets smeared, all over your place, and never came back. It's fine. Chapsticks it is. Ballistics. For the lips. It's just, it's true, and all good things to share. So thank you for joining us today. Happy Mother's Day to all of our moms. And whether you have physically birthed or you are spiritually birthing and pouring into, we hope that we love, we appreciate you. God sees you. I love that, Elroy. That was actually one of my Mother's Day messages one year. such a good passage of scripture. Go read it, because you just see that God saw. And he sees every season, every day, every moment, every tear. It says he bottles our tears, which for some of us, he's got a lot.
It's a big jar.
It's a big jar. And he knows, and just bring him into every situation. If you're struggling with mental health, please reach out.
Yes.
Ask for someone to help you get connected with someone. If it's not the first person you see, that's okay. Continue. I know so many people that is has made such a huge difference. Make sure they're a Christian counselor. And we love you. Thank you, Miss Alicia.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And
check this off the bucket list.
Yeah, we'll have to have her back when like Asher's like, you know, a teenager.
Right. You can sit and have,
She's like,
have
I
a
gotta
third
wait so
chair.
long. He'll be like, let me tell you stories about my mom.
Right. Like, my turn.
All right, we love you. We'll see you later. Bye.